Tissot have once again milked the teats of the PRX cow. No! But this time they brought out a digital watch. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Now, for the last 2 years, you haven't been able to walk anywhere on Instagram without seeing a bloomin' PRX. Tissot have done a fabulous job milking the hell out of this range in the Powermatic 80, the automatic movement, and in the quartz reference, giving you different sizes and dial colour options, that now in 2023, there's a PRX for everyone. Wait a minute! I've made it pretty clear I'm not a fan of Gerald Genter inspired watches because they have completely satirized the watch market, and the PRX is one of the main culprits for that. But it's loved by most of you. It is the release day of the new PRX digital watch. Now, thanks to Francis Gaye jewelers, who are an authorised dealer of Tissot, who, by the way, make other watches than PRXs, they've been very kind enough to send in one of these digital watches. And you know what? I'm going to leave my PRX baggage to one side and try and treat this like an unbiased review, just looking at a digital watch. And the big questions today are: 1, is it a good watch? 2, do I recommend it to you? And 3, just who is this marketed towards?
Because I'm still scratching my head.
But anyway, let's get on with it. Are you PRX digital ready? Let's go. Okay, so here it is, the PRX digital watch. They come in 2 different sizes, a 35mm and this 40mm. Now, having reviewed PRXs in the past, a 40mm PRX is going to fit like a 42 and a 35 is going to fit like a 37-38 due to the way the case shape is. Now, on first inspection, this is a nice case. It's 316L stainless steel and there has been no cheapening of the product from the outside. And it's definitely a weighty beast. With this 40mm particularly, there's a lot of negative space on that dial face, isn't there? This is how digital watches came, and in fact this watch is sort of based on a 40-20 caliber back in the 70s, like this one. The bracelet's quite similar, but that's about it. I must admit, I do like the look of the buttons that stick diagonally out and not just straight out. It is going to make it easier to push, and it's certainly got a look to it, hasn't it? I definitely don't love it at first sight, but in the hands, with my eyes, it's all right. Quick spec check. Right, so 40mm in diameter. It's just under 11mm thick. This watch is 100 meters worth of water resistant, which is great. They may have been able to make this a little bit thinner. The watch weighs in at around 135 grams, which is only 5 or 6 grams lighter than the automatic version. Just shows you the weight is all in this stainless steel construction. The face is protected by a sapphire glass, which you gotta say is an absolute smudge monkey. You will be caught using the end of your shirt to rub away those smudges on a hourly basis. Just like the quartz version of this PRX, we do not have a screw-in case back. For me, just lowers the confidence in that water resistance if that case back was to ever be opened and shut again. But we gotta take a look at the bracelet now. This is where the money is. The main feature in someone buying a PRX. The flat links do a very good job of reflecting and also articulating. And unfortunately, just like the PRX, as you know, we have a butterfly clasp, which means there are no micro adjusts. The watch could either feel a little bit too tight or a little bit loose,
or if you're very lucky,
fit just right. But the machining of this bracelet, the finishing, it is very nice. So let's have a look at the screen. Inside this watch we have an ETA DGT 2040. It's a module that has been specifically made for this PRX digital, which is good, isn't it? The module that's in this 40mm is the same module that's going to be in the 35mm. That means the size of the screen is going to be the same on both watches, and why there is more negative space on this 40mm. I'm already leaning towards the 35mm.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Anyway, we go into territory where watch YouTubers out there have not gone yet. We've got 3 buttons on this watch. The top left one is the mode button and the disconcerting one. What I hate most of all in digital watches when I'm pushing the mode is that the beep only happens when I release my finger. When you use the buttons on the other side, it does beep when you push it. Anyway, notice basically on the home screen, your time, there is no date display. That can be found using the top right pusher. The second feature is a second time zone. Next up is our stopwatch. Top right pusher to stop. Keep your finger on the bottom pusher and it resets. This also does lap times. We also have a countdown timer and an alarm. This watch also comes with a backlight, and I've got to admit, is a very good backlight. Quite a weird way to get at it. You keep your finger on the mode button and it stays on for about 5 seconds. The battery inside is going to last for about 4 years, as long as you don't use the backlight a lot. But a big question for me does come with the movement. It is an ETA quartz, and as this quartz has been made just for this PRX Digital, where have they got the circuit boards from and who puts them together? And do we know how long this 4020 caliber is going to last? Now, I've got digital Casio watches that are well over 20 years old and still digitizing away beautifully. And is it only going to last the length of time this Gerald Genta trend goes? Something to think about.
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, and this watch is a little bit too big. Yes, it is 40 millimeters in diameter, but I told you, a 40 looks bigger with these PRXs. And there is a reason why Tissot made the smaller one. The watch is very reflective outside, and the pros of having one of these watches is nothing to do with the time face. It's definitely a 70s look. I wasn't brought up in the 70s. There is no sentimental attachment to the look of this watch for me, but I can see how potentially it could appeal to 1 or 2 people. So there we go, the PRX Digital 40mm. Now the pros and cons. Right, okay, it's Swiss made. Most of it is. For anyone that has a PRX already and is interested in this digital watch, know that they have not cheapened out on the bracelet that you already have. Although the module is quite simple, the light is darn good. And if you do own a PRX and have several different straps for this, I do like the quick, easy spring bar release inside. And a last positive thing, they've used an LCD screen, which is really cool.
Keeping the retro alive.
This 40mm and the 35 is going to cost the same price at £310. Bear in mind that the quartz versions are only £10 more expensive. Now, yes, I do think this is very overvalued. But if the quartz version is only £10 more expensive, if they made this digital watch, I don't know, £150, that would devalue the quartz version massively. It would also overvalue the Powermatic 80. Tissot sees the value in not what's inside, but everything on the outside, because that's what's done so well in the last 2 years. I'm struggling to see who this watch is marketed towards. I can see proper digital geeks maybe going for it. Young trendy students, it's way out of their league price range, which is why Casio is king. In actual fact, Casio have just released an A1100, which is stainless steel, and that's around £120. So it just goes to show you, you know what I mean? If you do like the look of the PRX, I definitely would go with the quartz version. You get a good slim case, you got a lot of dial choices, and even though £320 is still quite expensive for what you get, it's a much better value proposition than this digital one. I have to compare this digital watch to a Casio because I am a Casio-aholic. I'm an owner of the GMW B5000. Comparing these together, the Tissot is definitely a more dressier style than the G-Shock. Nowadays you can get this G for around £350. The module inside this absolutely kicks the Tissot's butt.
Till next week.
It's solar powered. It has an atomic clock. But if you don't want to spend £300 on a digital watch, but like the look, you should take a look at the A171. Yes, it's a plastic case, but for around £30, you get a watch that looks like one of Casio's first digital watches, the Casiotron, and just see how they do with negative space. They don't. And for me personally, I trust more in a Casio movement than I would do an ETA. After all, back in the 70s, I'm pretty sure those digital Tissots had Casio modules inside and Casio cases. For me, it's a binner. It's not a watch that I would ever buy or recommend to you. If you are gonna go with a PRX, if you've got to, get the quartz version. I put a poll up on my channel to see how many people would actually buy one of these watches, and from the 4.6 1,000 of you that did vote, 90% said they wouldn't buy one. Just shows you how big a swing and a miss this really has been for Tissot. Here it is, my wife's first impressions of the Tissot PRX Digital. It looks like a record player. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's another one of your digital watches, isn't it? It's okay. Flipping heck, that's quite a good review. You've done well there, Tissot. You've watched till the end, you are good people. And if I've got you for a few more minutes than that, go and check this one out. Go on, click it. Click it, it's fantastic. Click it, click it.